Arjuna, congratulations on a magnificent victory.
Thanks a lot, Ian. I think the boys played really well right throughout the tournament.
You had it in mind right from the start. You said all along that you wanted to have another crack at Australia. You've got your way, and you guys fought very hard.
I thought the boys played really well. I think I should thank the Pakistan public. I think they were really behind us right throughout the game. And I should thank Asa and Wasim. They are the ones who brought the side to Colombo when we were in trouble. And thanks a lot, Wasim and Asa. And we are very grateful to you. And thanks a lot. Back in Sri Lanka, I think everyone contributed a lot. Thanks a lot.
There'll be and I can tell you, Arjuna, there's a special.
Welcome to the Luminary by AIESEC in SLIIT, where we interview some of the best Sri Lankan unique personalities for you to get inspired and motivated by going through their life stories and experiences. Now here's your host, Mr.Trevin Hannibal.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Luminary. And you guys know Luminary is where we have a discussion with celebrities in Sri Lanka just to hear their inspirational stories. And today, our guest, I'm wondering how to introduce my guest today. If you were a fan of cricket in the 80s and the 90s, you would hear the famous cricket commentator Mr. Ravi Shastri saying something like this. He is the best fielder in the Sri Lanka cricket team, and he has pulled off an absolute blinder. And ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Roshan Mahanama with us. Hi Roshan, how's it going? And nice to have you.
Hi Trevin, I must thank Januda and his group of friends for inviting me to be part of this interactive session. I'm alright. I'm here in Pakistan in isolation. I've just come here to officiate in the 6th edition of the Pakistan Super League. So I'm here for about 5 weeks and then maybe another good 2 weeks in quarantine in Sri Lanka.
I mean, that's amazing what technology can do. You're in Pakistan, I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. And,
Yes.
it's always nice to connect, as I said before. So let's start from the Observer Schoolboy Cricket of the Year. So this is where things started, if I'm not mistaken. I have two questions to ask you first. How important was this award at the beginning of your career, as a schoolboy cricketer, number one? And if you were a schoolboy cricketer today, or if you were playing cricket today, we see so many posts regarding cricketers. For example, cricketers at that time, when we hear names like Roshan Mahanama, Siddharth Vetamuni, Arjuna Ranatunga, Hashan Tilakaratnas, and all these cricketers at that time, there was a degree of prestige that came in. But now, the cricketers that I see now are somewhat like, these are like talk of the town in social media, like people comment about what they wear and where they went and about their personal lives. And I think there is a small downfall in terms of that prestige that the cricketers used to have at that time. So two questions again. What happened to, how important was the Observer Schoolboy Cricket of the Year? And what do you think about the young cricketers, the environment that the cricketers have to go through nowadays?
Trevin, I feel that it's our responsibility to share our little story with some of these youngsters. Some of them, they don't see the journey that we have come on, and it's important if you have been through all this to share with the younger generation. The two questions, my answers to your two questions. A, you asked me how important that schoolboy cricketer award was. For me, it was very, very important. Again, I'm taking you back. It's not about the trophies, it's the journey that matters. Just to give you give you and a few of the others who are going to be listening to our session, I come from a humble background, from a middle class family, and it was not an easy task for my parents to bring two boys So there were certain issues that we had to face as a family. I was educated at Nalanda, played cricket from a younger age. I'm telling you all this with a reason. Coming to the awards, and people should know a bit of my background as well. Although I excelled at all these age group tournaments, starting from under 12, 13, 15, the biggest challenge I faced was when I was at the tender age of 14 years, when I was selected to represent my school under 19 team for the first time. I was a 14-year-old, went to the ground, pumped up because I was selected to represent my school at the highest level. And to my surprise, when I got to the school, my own schoolmates, my own friends were hanging white flags, black flags to indicate that they were mourning. They were mourning the fact that I had been selected to play for the first 11 team at an age of 14. And that game sticks out in my mind. Just the 2 days, just wanted to get through the 2 days, and that was the end of the season for me. At home, there were a lot of issues between my mother and my father, for obvious reasons, because my father's people came from Nalanda College and my mother's people came from Royal, and my mother was putting a lot of pressure and wanted my father to take me out of Nalanda and put me to Royal or to another school. But I still remember my father stood firm, and that's a lifelong lesson for me. And he wanted me to. This is all. This is all he told me. He said, "Son, I will fight. You just let your bat do the talking." So what he wanted me was to focus on what I had to do and face those challenges with courage. For about 8 months, I couldn't play the game. I couldn't go to schools. School, there were issues, and my father, who was my hero, my mentor, passed away about 3.5 years ago. And about 3 years ago, one of his friends contacted me and said, "Son, you might not know, your father cried on my shoulders the day that they were hanging white flags because he couldn't accept the fact that we are from the same school, that they were doing this, and for him they were doing it for his son, but he never showed it to me." So that was a very good lesson. And despite not being able to go to school or play cricket, what I did was I did follow what my father told me. I allowed the bat to do all the talking and ended up as the schoolboy cricketer of the year twice, in 1983 and 1984, and became the first schoolboy cricketer to have won this award back to back. So that's why it's important for me more than anything. I don't think you would have known the background to all this, and I just thought it was important for me to mention about bit about the background. Then the second question, you said you see a lot of stuff in social media and maybe in the media as well about the modern generation of cricketers. I don't think talent wise there was a group who was superior, but I think it's the attitude that has changed. From my point of view, talent, we've got enough talent in our country, but it's about having that pride, a, in doing something for your country, and also to have pride in whatever you do. You need to be committed, you need to be making sacrifices to achieve whatever you want in life. So attitude plays a huge part. Things were totally different when we were growing up, and I aim was obviously to represent the country, and I'm sure it's the same with these players as well. But I think the attitude has changed. This is where we need to get that message across to the modern generation. A, nothing comes easy, and if you, a lot of the guys want what they want is to sometimes make it to a national team or to the national mm, the sport that anyone is involved in. They want to get to the national team, but sometimes they say it's easy to get there, but it's very very hard to remain. You need to keep performing on and off the field. That's where a lot of the people don't realize. And what's important is that these people understand that they have a responsibility when they become icons or national figures of the field as well. I still remember, just for example, this is where I think this reminds me of my first coach, Mr. Nelson Mendes. He was a strict disciplinarian. He wanted us to play the game the way it should be played, but for him it was all about discipline. I still remember. And then once I went home, my parents were also were very big on maintaining discipline, and also building that image. I remember as a youngster, I told you earlier as well, I did reasonably well in those age group tournaments, and sometimes you come off the field, you would want to have your collars up, just to this. As kids, we do all sorts of things. And what they told me was, including my first coach and mainly my father, whatever you do, leave behind on a field. When you come off the field, it's important that you follow rules, guidelines, and above all, you need to be a good human being.
Yes, that's very correct. SLIIT Global Education, who is the official title partner.
SLIIT Global Education is established for students who are interested in venturing past the higher education opportunities in Sri Lanka to explore avenues in countries such as Australia, Canada, UK, USA, Germany, and France. They have a network of 30 plus universities that they collaborate with to provide students with the best learning and holistic university experience. You can also avail exclusive scholarship schemes, especially if you are a student or alumnus of SLIIT. SLIIT Global Education also provides exceptional academic counseling services for undergraduate and postgraduate students tailored to their requirements. They also offer expert visa guidance counseling services and pre-departure training to all their transfer students. If you're considering pursuing your higher education abroad, feel free to give their friendly team a buzz.
And you played cricket in an era where there was no social media. Now, I think the social media, the social media has a lot to do with the attitude that you just spoke about just moments ago. See, I see every wanted and unwanted stuff being shared sometimes, and that has something to do with the level of prestige sometimes a cricketer had to go. For example, if people used to post things about you at that time when you played cricket, sometimes there would have been a different way that you would have responded, because we got to know about you through the TV and maybe through a newspaper article. That's how we got to know about Roshan Mahanama. But now you would see posts, people commenting, saying this, that, and it's like it's sometimes really unwanted. And sometimes to say that you're a cricketer having that prestige. And what do you think about social media? How has social media made an impact on the character and the image of a cricketer?
Trevin, I think it's important that people are guided now, not only social media. When we started this session, you spoke about technology. If there was no technology, there wouldn't have been connectivity, and we wouldn't have had this session where you're in Vancouver, I'm here in Pakistan, and the guys who are organizing this session, they are in Sri Lanka. So, like anything, it's the people who guides them needs to tell these people to have a balance, and they should know the impact that it could have. Now, for me, I'm on social media because it was forcefully created by someone, but I got my youngest daughter to monitor because I feel it's important that you have somebody monitoring if it's your own account to see what goes on those accounts. But that should not be your life. Whatever you do, you put on social media and so on, not to have the numbers following you. Maybe it should be to inspire people, to show people what you have been up to be in touch with your friends. And there is a golden rule which was taught by my father: you cannot fight the media and win. Look at presidents of countries, the queen, you name it, they've had people criticizing them. So in life, for you and I, there will be people for and against, right? So like, you accept when people praise you, you should be able to accept criticism and take it as constructive criticism. And when you become a public figure, it is important for you to understand that. And these are the same fans or people who have followed you, who would be supporting and clapping the day that you got runs. And these are the same people who will be sometimes criticizing, not because they don't like you. They're so passionate about the country doing well, and these people needs to understand. And they can turn around and say, but they don't understand what we go through. Yes, we are under pressure, but that's why you have come to a level. You have beaten some of those guys to get to that level because you have done well, and you have been able to handle pressure on the field. So if this is something that gives you more pressure, don't be on social media. So you have to have the balance, and if you're on it, just accept it. I think, I personally feel that these people have to be guided from a younger age, from about under 17, under 19, and give them guidelines as to how they should handle their social media pages. It's good to have. I'll tell you why somebody decided to create a page for me. That's because of my social service activity. I'm involved in about 8 to 10 social service activities. And they said it's important. Sometimes, you're dealing with other people's money. So to build credibility, to be transparent, this is the only way that you can show them that you're actually doing something with the funds or the support that you get from them. And also to create more people, or to create uh, um, or to get more people to come and support and follow, which I have had. And that's why now I have moved away. And still, with the odd message, the odd post. Even there was one yesterday where the guys who are handling it had put a post, and there were mixed reactions. But that is their view. As long as we know the intentions are right, and also respect their view, when you have another post, they might have a different view. So you need to respect, but the more you try to attack, the more you try to show disrespect to the people who have backed you, supported you, I don't think it's fair. And I look at a sportsman, um, as if we are entertainers in that sense. So why I say that is, when you're entertainers, you depend on other people, your fans, your supporters, and because of them only you benefit. Because of them, because of TV mileage, that's where money comes into sport. So all these people are stakeholders, and it is up to people to educate these players also, and I know there's a group of people, Trevin, who's organizing this event. And what these youngsters should have is can be any field. My advice is to have a mentor. For me, I will proudly show, I don't know whether you guys can see my phone, that's my mentor, my father. Yes, I don't know whether you saw that, but so he was my mentor, and from my even to date, even before I embarked on this trip, I went and saw my first coach. That's just to pay gratitude. If you don't have those value systems in life, at some point it's just going to come back on you.
Very correct, very correct. And I really like the part where you said you can't fight against the media and win.
Welcome to Sparkets, a platform that will groom you to have a leading edge over other IT students. We built this to give you the real skills to make you a superhero, actually a super talent. Being up on the game is really important, and that's why we researched what skills are really required by the IT industry. You will be surprised. It's not pure technical skills, but a combination of specific technical skills and soft skills that we offer, which no program out there in Sri Lanka teaches you. If you master these skills, you'll be assured a job in a leading IT company or the support to start your entrepreneurship journey. And that is why I teamed up with the best people to help you. Through a pre-selection process, candidates will be given the opportunity of a personalized mentorship with Sparkets. The program is 6 months long and can be followed part-time while you study. Dedicated mentors with domain experts will connect you through live online learning and face-to-face boot camps.
I mean, before we move on to the next part of our series of questions on leadership, just to add another question to that, I got a small bio and description about you from the boys who are organizing this, and you could let me know whether this was something that you said. It's actually a quotation. True that we need to give opportunities to outstation teams, yet that should not be done at the expense of quality. I'm sure with maybe it's something that you said. Can I get your confirmation that you said that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
So
I'm sure.
yeah, just to interrupt you for a second, Roshan, I have another small question attached to it as well. Now, see, when you guys played cricket, you are from Nalanda, you had people coming from Anand, and you had a set of Thomians who were there, and it would have been a different culture. And then at the same time, by the way, I'm a Thomian as well. But
Okay.
that being
I'm
said,
writing my book, and it's been written by a Thomian. We'll
okay.
finish, but my second book, but we'll come to it later.
Okay, so the Thomians, the Royalists, the Anandians, the Nalandians, and so many other schools that I did not mention would have a different culture, and you guys would have mingled with people who are coming from, certain rural areas from Sri Lanka, right? So that being said, when everyone played in the Sri Lankan cricket team, the image was this is a Sri Lankan cricketer. And everyone had that prestige that I told you before. So I would like you to elaborate a bit more on that last part of your quotation where you said that should not be done at the expense of quality. A brief answer for that.
I would say, like in anything in life, it's not about quantity. It's about quality in whatever we do. So people might get me wrong, thinking that I don't want people to come from different parts of the country and so on, which is wrong. If there is a talented person, give the opportunity, but just don't do anything for the sake. No, we need to go and see whether these guys are good enough and so on. There was a culture when we were getting into it. It was slightly changed. It was used mentioned about the schools. I'm just telling you, the culture was mainly players who came into the national team were from Royal, St. Thomas's, St. Joseph's, and St. Peter's, their background. Then gradually, people from Anand, Nalanda, Dharmaraj, and wherever started coming in. And when we were leaving, most of the players are from the outstations. So in a way, we can be happy that it's gone to different paths and there are more people taking up the sport. But in terms of, we'll say, having a tournament, right? We're talking about cricket for Division 1 clubs in the country. We have 24 and everyone feels it's too much. We want it to be 12, 10. That was the structure that we had when we were playing. Now you're saying the current day, the cricket and the cricketers have, the standards have dropped and so on. So there are other contributing factors. So we should never compromise on quality. It should not be quantity just to please people. Let them also have a share of the pie and so on. No, let people work hard to get there. When there's competition, you'll get the best out of somebody, and you'll get the best, the cream coming into whatever field. Forget about sports, right? There has to be healthy competition even in a working environment. And the difference between a corporate entity and sports, from my point of view, because I can say that I was working for the International Cricket Council, the ICC, as a match referee. So from being a player, I went into administration. When I say you have to have healthy competition, some people are jealous, or you don't want your superior or your subordinate to do well. But in sports, that's what we learn, to celebrate success of one another, to help someone when somebody is going through a difficult period. You said you're going into leadership, but that's the other side of sports and the corporate
Yes.
culture is teamwork.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's
That's what I want to
something
move into.
that's something that you learn from sports. But if anyone says that he doesn't have this, I won't say jealous, but feeling of someone else doing better than you, I won't accept it. That's human nature, right? But that should not be a factor to pull the other guy down. You should use that to motivate yourself. Oh yes, I am also. That's why you
I'm
have
not
to have
giving up.
Sorry.
You would be like, I'm not giving up as well. I'm not going to
Yes,
give up the fight.
never give up. Yes, if you can do it, I can do it. But in life, we don't have equal talents. Right?
Yeah,
There are
I want to go to the next question, leadership, but I'm very tempted to ask this question. Actually, how did you feel in the 96 World Cup? I think before that tournament, when you guys went to Australia, Arjuna Ranatunga asked, you were an opening batsman, right? Then suddenly Sanat Jayasuriya and Kalu comes to become the opening batsman, and suddenly we see Roshan Mahanama in the middle order.
Yeah.
Now, how did you take it actually? Because you were an opening batsman, how did you really take it? Did you feel like, what is Arjuna doing? And did you fight for that? I don't think you would have done that. I think you would have respectfully said, okay, no problem, I will play in the middle order. But how did you feel? Like, what
Trevin,
was the, like,
yeah, it's like this. I've always been a team man. People will suddenly look at our records, statistics, and say, oh, he's just one of those cricketers. But for me, when I look back, what I can be happy with what I've done with cricket is I've been a team player. Everyone has been. But I have gone, like you said, that extra distance to bat anywhere you want, field anywhere I've been asked to feel. I don't know how much time we have. I'll give you, because of the constraint that we have in terms of time, I will give you the three key learnings of that 96 World Cup victory for me. Right? One is teamwork. If we say that we didn't have differences, people are lying. We've had our own differences. Even in a family, you'll see people won't agree to everything. There will be differences. But when we crossed the line, we made sure that we played together, and we realized the importance of making a useful contribution towards the success of your team, and to put the country on that platform. So teamwork was priority for us in that World Cup, and we played together as a unit. Two, I'm coming to the question that you asked me. Whenever people were asked to do something, they believed themselves, and they said, no, it's not my role. Right? They always said, okay, I will do the job. One good example is, everyone will be talking about Muttaya Muralidharan, but would they talk about the contribution that Kumar Dharmasena made? They'll talk about his umpiring, but not what he did during the World Cup. What he did was, he bowled in the most crucial overs of a match where Morley was not comfortable bowling, which is the first 15 overs of, I'm talking, this is a bit technical, but he bowled in the first 15 overs. Then Kumar comes and bowls again in the death overs, whereas Morley bowls in the middle overs. But Morley will get more wickets, Kumar might not, but Kumar would do the job. So likewise, I'll give you just two examples, because that's important. You asked me about the World Cup. We are still on number two. Now, quickly, I'll go through. Night before the World Cup quarterfinals, I was dropped. Then they announced a team. 40 minutes.
You were dropped?
Yes, when they announced the team. 40 minutes
Okay.
before start of play, when I was helping the others by throwing balls just for them to have some throwdowns, they came and asked me whether you're ready to play, and I said, you have brought me on tour.
By who was included instead of you? Can you
What I
say
can
that?
remember, I think it's Upul Chandana. Maybe it can be a tactical move. Sometimes you
Yeah.
do those moves, but being a
I know.
senior player, and I had not batted up until then in that World Cup. But what I was going to tell you was, sometimes just being a team man, and when you go and do certain things, it's easy for you to get out of the team also, because people might think that you're not a useful player. But then coming back to this, 40 minutes before, they said this to me, and I said, if you feel I should be playing, tell me. And then here I was in the team. Sri Lanka was cruising. England got 240, if I'm not mistaken, cruising. Sanath went berserk, but 160 for 1 or something, suddenly 180 for 4. And people were around me saying, you're the only recognized batsman, you need to make sure that we get through, because we had never been into a knockout stage of the tournament and to a World Cup semi-final. And here I was thinking to myself, the night before you're not good enough, and then suddenly you're going to be the savior. Then I thought, no, you can't let your emotions take control of you. You have a job at hand, and you need to do this for your country. I went in, Hashan and myself put on 50 odd, because England started to get wickets, and we made it to the semis. And likewise in the semi-finals, I think this is important, Trevin, for me to mention. In the semi-finals, we lost the toss and we batted.
Yeah.
We had hope Sanath and Kalu most of the time got us to a good start, but they both got out in the first over.
Yes.
And I was seated in shorts, waiting to bat at number 7. And then they approached me and said, can you bat? And I said, don't ask me whether I could bat. Tell me whether if you want me to pad up. I'm just talking about myself, because these are experiences, but I know that's why I said, people would always, not only me, every member in that in the squad, if they were asked to do something, they'll put their hand up. And I said, okay. I was getting dressed, and halfway through the other wicket fell. So I got everyone to help me. Here I am walking in front of 120,000 people watching, and that will be the most, I think, a game where most
This was
spectators
against
were there to
India and in
witness.
India.
That was in India, Calcutta. So then we put some partnerships and so on, and then we got the um, team into a respectable situation. Everyone sort of contributed, but that's why I said when they turn towards anyone, I was just only relating my experiences because that's the best rather than talk about someone else. And we always put our hand up and said we'll do it. So that's number two. And number three, we played to our strength. We didn't play to the strength of the opposition. Again, I'll just give you just for example, the current Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, had met our big wigs, the think tank, that's Dulip, Dab, and Arjuna, and so on. And he said, knowing the conditions in Pakistan and so on, I advise you all to win the toss and bat, right? And then we did the opposite, and we became the first team to have won a World Cup chasing. So we played to our strength and not to the strength of the opposition. So these are the key learnings. And then I think I covered about, you asked where I was asked to go and bat here and there. When you look back now, people will say, I might be a mediocre player or whatever. For me, it doesn't matter. When you're in a team, what matters is what you do for the team in terms
Yeah.
of, because I was only batting and fielding, and even if you look at my fielding, I have fielded everywhere on that field. You just tell me if they want me to go, I'll be there.
I mean, that's brilliant. I really like hearing those stories. I wish we had a lot of time. But anyway, coming back to this question where we talk about leadership, let's talk about how important leadership is, and maybe you can share some important insights to the youth of Sri Lanka. Now, you have been under Arjuna Ranatunga. To my knowledge, we have heard that he is Captain Cool, but he is like a general sometimes. And if you take even same story when it comes to Imran Khan, Wasim Akram says, I went to bat and Imran said, don't get out and I will kill you or sometimes if you get out. And first ball, without even a forward defense, he jumps and he gets stumped. And when he goes back to the dressing room, he doesn't go to the dressing, he goes to the washroom and Imran Khan follows him to the washroom or something like that. Now, but both of these cricketers, Imran Khan won the World Cup in 1992. Now he's the Prime Minister. Arjuna Ranatunga was a great leader. I mean, you will have more insights to share than me. Now, what's this type of leadership that you think is more suitable, not only for sports, but for any organization as a whole? Is it charismatic type of a leader? Or is it a general type of a tells autocratic leader? I tell you things, you have to do it according to my way. What's your take on this, Roshan?
Just first, Trevin, you asked me. Actually, there are quite valid points that you have asked me. I need to cover. I might miss because it's a long question. But to tell you first, Arjuna was never cool. We had to have a leader like Arjuna. There were instances where, personally for me, I didn't see eye to eye. But the leader is the leader, and you need to have a strong leader. And if we didn't have someone like Arjuna who commanded that respect and was so strong, we wouldn't have won the World Cup. I must state that, and we were lucky to have him so experienced at the right time, which changed a lot of things for Sri Lanka cricket from there onwards, through that leadership with um, with the rest of the guys performing to the best of their ability. But from my point of view, who says leaders are born? For me, leaders are made. Some say leaders are extraordinary, but in my opinion, leaders are ordinary people who do extraordinary things. And you were talking about autocratic leadership, democratic leadership. What I what before I go there, in my opinion, there are leaders and those who lead. Leaders hold the position of power or authority, but those who lead, they inspire us. We follow those who lead not because we have to, because we want to. We not we follow not for them, but for ourselves. They have the ability to inspire people around them and find others to inspire people concerned. So that's a leadership quality that I want people to develop. I said this when I joined the ICC as well, moving away from being a sportsman into a
Match referee.
into an administrative role, because it was only Sri Lanka had 2 on the panel of 7 referees, right? And by that time,
I think it was Roshan, you and Ranjan Madugal.
Ranjan
Is it?
Madugal, I just spoke to him a little while ago. I have a lot of respect for someone like Ranjan, and because of the standards that he had set, they looked at another Sri Lankan. So when I was given the job, 2 things I decided to myself: I can't let down Ranjan. They've looked at another Sri Lankan because of what he has done, and I can't let down Sri Lanka. I need to keep the doors open. But also, when I got into the job, I told them that don't compare me to Ranjan. We have our own different leadership styles. A leadership style, I think, comes with our mannerisms. We've got some inborn mannerisms, right? And with that, only your leadership or your human qualities also. You say, if you have friends, people, you say some are timid, some are aggressive. That's the by nature what we are, or who we are.
Their
So for
personality.
me, their personality. For me, I prefer the democratic way of leading rather than the autocratic way of leading. You know why? Autocratic way is you're just going to follow instructions, and when the leader is in trouble, they will say go to hell. But if you have a democratic style, when we are all human, even the leader can go through a bad spell, your own team will rally around to take you through that situation. But to get there, when you're leading, you have to make them realize and give them comfortable, but you mean business. I personally feel leaders can be trained by a careful understanding of leadership qualities and a conscious effort to develop these characteristics. Or by a process of training, one could move towards becoming a leader in his or her chosen field of activity. Now, for me, fortunately, cricket is one of the sports where people need to use their brains. I'm no offense to anyone. Don't get me wrong. Brains more often than other sports. Cricket is the only sport where this is from what I have followed and studied, where the captain has to be a leader. In other sports such as rugby, soccer, hockey, sometimes you would know who the leader is even. I'm just giving you a bit of a background. Just you think for yourself, Trevin. Now, over
Yes,
the years,
yes.
you would have followed sports, and I was
Yes.
just thinking to myself, in cricket, the captain every over he needs to make a change. Every ball he might have to change the field, depending on the strengths of the batsman. But in other sports, sometimes you don't know who the captain is even. That's because in those sports, generally it's the coach who, I'm talking about mainly team sports here, it's the coach who does everything. But in cricket, no coach can replace a captain. Coach will do the preparation, planning, and so on. But at the end of the day, that it's the captain who handles them. For me,
Correct.
good leaders are people who can motivate others to get the best from them. I will give you just one example. You spoke about at some point in about the 96 World Cup and thereabouts, and some of the other tours. In 1995, the tour to Australia prior to our World Cup victory in 1996, we were given a hard time by the Australians in Australia.
Okay.
If you remember, I don't know how.
I can remember. I do remember.
Yes. So I remember our captain Arjuna addressed the team and he said, "We are not going to take anything lying down from now onwards. Let's stand up for it as a team," and that's exactly what we did. When Morley was called, we stood firm. There were other issues, we stood firm. And that was actually...
Was it in that tournament where you had a word with Ian Healy where he was,
Yes.
kind of... Yes.
Yes, these were all... that was when we decided. I'll give you a sequence. I don't know again how long this program these boys have planned for, but that tournament from the time, or that tour from the time we landed in Australia, we had a few issues. A was, they said our logo, we had a team logo, they said it was too big. Then the match referee came and measured and found that it was the correct size. Okay, then they said we were tampering with the ball, whereas we had a very young team who did not know about technicalities of changing the condition of the ball and so on. And later on they found that there was a manufacturing defect. Then came the Morley saga, that incident, and then again at the end of the second final, or during the second final, one of the Australians said black monkey to one of our players. But like you asked, we decided to give it back to them. And whether it's the right thing to do or not, at the end of that second final in Australia, that was when we had started to do well as a team. It was a best of 3 triangular. We beat West Indies to get into the finals. And after that second final, first one we could have won, but we lost by a few runs. Second one again we lost. And at the end of the presentation, skipper said, "Guys, you're not going to shake hands with anyone." Right?
Who said? Arjuna.
Yes. And in sports, normally they say shake hands and go, but that was when we wanted to give it back to them. And that helped us to go ahead and win that World Cup. So I'm just saying, in terms of the different leadership styles, I think that's very important.
Yeah, that's remarkable. And the next, yeah, go ahead.
And for me, in my opinion, a few key areas for these youngsters or anyone in the corporate world, they should try to develop is to be, if they are to be successful in the corporate world or in their chosen field, is preparation, man management skills, and effective communication skills. While you try to develop your leadership qualities, I advise you need to be prepared for the task. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you. If you look around here, we have not even kicked off this tournament, the Pakistan Super League. I've got stuff on my table, right? I'm sort of getting ready for it. Come the tournament, then you're ready. Yes, you might make mistakes. There might be challenges, but then it's important. Then we go into a group here. I'm here for a cricket tournament. I'm from Sri Lanka, leading the team of match officials. You have the local umpires. You have umpires from the UK, right? So you need to have good management skills and effective communication skills. You need to understand your team and communicate in a manner where you can get the message across. But by saying that, Trevin, there's something that comes to my mind. When I saw a speech of that great leader, Nelson Mandela, who president of South Africa, united a country, he said, "This is all that I can remember, first, be honest with yourself. That was something that hit me. Honesty plays a huge part. Um, this is what Nelson Mandela says. On the other hand, look at the leaders of our country. Sri Lanka is not Sri Lanka is not a small country, but unfortunately, we have very small leaders.
Correct, that's correct.
So,
I mean, that brings me to the next question about, personality and education. Now, you, after your cricket career as a person who played cricket for the Sri Lankan team, then you gone into match refereeing. Now, in this particular office that you hold, you need to sometimes confront people. There are people who do unethical stuff in the field, like, there are certain disciplinary things that you might have to do. Now, see, you are from Sri Lanka. Now, I know about how people discriminate certain people because of your skin, especially in this part of the world, in North America. Sometimes discrimination is something that we face on a regular basis. Now, I myself is a professor in a university here. Discrimination is something that is a very, very taboo topic to talk, and that happens. Now, when sometimes, especially the Australians, I remember the incident where Ian Healy was telling something and you were looking at him and you're like, what? And there was a small chat over there. I think Alex Stewart, had a word with Arjuna Ranatunga. And these people, they just talk. I mean, it's their mother tongue. English is not our mother tongue. Oh, that's enough, mate. And they would always try to push things and they say what they want, right?
Yep.
Now, as a match referee, see, you're the match referee. Sometimes you might want to confront someone saying that, look, chap, what you did in the field was wrong. And I'm wondering, can you share a story where they challenge you? Like where there might be certain people who are having maybe a hot temper. They are maybe amateurs. They just started the sport and they're like, who are you to tell me that? Maybe you can share some stuff where you had to correct some people. That's where I think personality comes into play. So
yes,
just to share something on that.
Trevin, for me, it's not the outward personality, or you should show that you're very strong, a strong leader. What matters is what you have inside here and how strong you can be and not succumb to pressure when it matters. Okay. So that is very important. I might not mention names, but that's why I said, if you are honest with yourself, right? That really hit me when I saw that speech of President
Yes, sir.
Mandela. Even if you make a mistake, people will accept it because they know that you have done that with the best interest, even if you have made a mistake. But if you have not been honest throughout, they will doubt some of the decisions that that you have taken. I will tell you, I will not tell you where we have had people disagreeing, but I have called people like Virat Kohli, had 1-1, and I firmly told him, I said, if you behave in this manner, you're going to get into trouble. This is not what we expect from you. Early days for him, right? And I said, don't forget, you're going to be a leader. That was in an IPL match, I still remember. You're going to be a leader one day, right? But don't forget, this kind of behavior is seen by millions of kids who are watching these matches. And do you want to send this message across? I said, if I have a son, I don't want them to see. So you think always. But what I like in him, and I told the same thing to someone like David Warner, but what I like in them is that they're so passionate about doing something for their country, and they're very patriotic. I think that's what we need to instill through our youngsters. Trevin, there's a group of youngsters who would be listening to us. That is what we need to instill. I have had people at code of conduct hearings. On my right hand side on the table, I'm just going through some of the documents now. We're getting ready for this event here, where we have code of conduct hearings are generally when somebody has committed an offense on the field of play. So that's your responsibility as a referee to correct them and hand out an appropriate punishment. And some of the big names have come up to me, and first, if you have a proper hearing, they will try to divert, right? But then if you're having an inquiry, you have to have an impartial inquiry. But the advantage that we have is, in a game of cricket, you see the offense, and also you, being a past cricketer, understand generally the mentality of a
And the
a
body
player.
language and stuff.
Yes, but what you don't want is um, your emotions taking control of you. So as an individual, as a player, it could happen, but our responsibility is towards millions of people, mainly kids who are watching. We don't want to send that wrong message, and if you feel that it is something that they should not be doing, you should be able to be strong and punish them without fear or favor. But I think over the years, what I have built, touched up to now, there are cases where they can appeal, and they have not appealed. But yes, it was not easy. But over the years, that's something that personally I have built, where they know that he's a genuine person. If he decides on something, it would have been decided based on the facts, and people will
Yeah.
look at it objectively. But just to move away from that, for the younger generation, what I like to get it across, Trevin, I don't know how much time we have, and I don't know whether this is something that you were going to touch
Yeah.
on, but I'll touch on a little bit about honesty, integrity, values.
Right.
These are some of the things that we are losing. For me, the most influential people in my life, my parents, my first coach, Mr. Nelson Mendes, my wife, my teachers, and those who taught me the game of cricket, which became my profession, are my heroes and my role models. I told these youngsters to have mentors as well, but more importantly, they coach me in the art of life. That's very important for me. You said you are a professor. Don't get me wrong. I like to see Sri Lankan and our own people reaching the highest standards. But for me, it is not being an academic or being an academic that matters. It's the upbringing. You can impart education, but more importantly, values must be inculcated. That's what I
That's true.
that's what I feel. And what's important is to encourage these youngsters to be good human beings at all times.
Very good.
Just to finish off on that one, I feel respect you should earn and not demand.
Yes.
The good qualities of a person, and if you're a good human being, you will definitely earn respect. I'm going back to what you asked me in terms of those people challenging your decisions and so on. For me personally, I have no respect for dishonest people, as there should not be a place for them. For me personally, I will not compromise on honesty, integrity, values, discipline, loyalty, friendship.
Yeah.
I will put money last. But in life, you think for yourself. I'm sure you're much younger to me as well, Trevin. What happens if you put money in front? You'll compromise on all the other values.
True.
So just think for yourself. And this is something that we need to drive, especially to our Sri Lankan youngsters. Because for
Very
me,
correct.
for me, I have lived through two-thirds of my life, and I have gone a step further than most of the people who are my age, because I've got two grandkids, and
Right.
my only aim, and I want to encourage all these youngsters to focus on what I just mentioned, as it's important to leave behind a better place for the future generations.
That's correct. So we come to the last two questions actually. This is the question I'm going to ask is what you just gave me as a reply. Now, sometimes Roshan, sometimes when it comes to in anyone's work, when you deal with dishonest people, sometimes some people, when they know what they did was wrong, but they are trying to look for a loophole somehow to escape. Now, there is an extent to which that we can deal with the authority that we have, looking at the scope that we have. There is an extent to which we can do certain things within the scope. Sometimes, looking at the rules and regulations that you have to mingle with, sometimes there can be a dishonest person winning that particular battle. And some people with their personality, with the values that they have, they could live with it, they could digest it, they could bite the bullet. But some people, as you said, it's all about not letting your emotions take over you. That's something that I really like from what you said before. Now, have you come across situations where you know that this guy is dishonest, this guy has done the wrong thing, but from the scope that I have, from the authority level that I have, this is the maximum that I can deal with this matter. And you have to go to sleep that night with, I don't know, with a heavy heart maybe, because you think, well, that's all that I can do. I cannot take the law to my hand. Have you come across situations like that?
There have been, Trevin, it does not say in my role maybe as a referee or in anything that I do, when you're either leading or when you're in control, or when you have authority, it does not give satisfaction to pull someone up, to punish someone up. Sometimes you feel if there was a higher punishment, you'll go to that extent. Sometimes you feel, oh, I wish there was more, because he needs to realize when we punish or when we tell them, if you're talking about cricket, we've been told that we have to follow principles of natural justice, and until someone's proven guilty, that person is innocent. So you will give that margin on anything, and sometimes you know that he's done this. That's why I said, if you have cricket hearings and so on, it's slightly different, because you see the incident, unlike in the court of law, because there the judge wouldn't see, but here it's different, and you have seen, but you give that person an opportunity to say yes why he did it, but they themselves need to be honest, and sometimes we have seen that they are not honest there also. Then you feel, oh, based on the book, the guidelines, this is all I can go, I would go even higher. Right? But that is just to correct and put somebody on the track. Until I feel we have to do our very best to try and get somebody on the path, right? Not to sideline and do that. But there are people sometimes you just cannot, and that's why we were discussing before. Then it becomes a personality, then it becomes the upbringing, and things like that. So if you can get the message across to these youngsters who are with us, or who are going to be with us with this session, that's what matters. And I always advise these youngsters to have a mentor or somebody they can look up to. We will have challenges, we will have problems, and the issues that we just spoke about of someone, when you know that either he's not being honest and so on, can be for various reasons. But if he or she has somebody that they can trust to go and open out, I think that's very important. From my point of view, we need to encourage these people, because it doesn't have to be your parents. Sometimes that gap is there. It can be a loved one. Now, you're a professor, it must be someone like you in that environment. I'm just saying, people need to pick someone whom they can look up to, but again, someone who has who's got some values.
Yes. Correct,
Otherwise,
correct.
you can't accept, because I firmly believe in life, you need to walk the talk.
Yes, that's correct.
If you
That's correct.
don't walk the talk, there's no point. And I tell a lot of people, when they pick people, you need to screen the background, not because X and Y has achieved so much, right? But look into the backgrounds also.
That's
So,
correct. That's correct.
so that's quite important.
Yeah. So we come to the last question. So Roshan Mahanama is obviously one of the greatest cricketers that I have seen, and then you have a match referee now. You're doing a tremendous job, and you're into philanthropy, and you do a lot of charity and all of this. Now, how important is it for any person to balance life Well, you're doing. You said that you have grandkids. You know, everyone is busy with. Of course, everyone has a passion, but that has not. It should not be at the expense of having a good family life. We have seen many people who say that I have achieved this, I have achieved that. For example, Elon Musk says that I sleep in my factories. But this guy has gone through about 5 or 6 marriages, and I'm not trying to say that that's bad, but you know, it's sometimes a stumbling block for certain people, right? And how important is it? How important is family? And how do you strike that balance, which is very, very difficult? Because see, you're in Pakistan, and I don't know. I'm sure you had that right balance, but I'm sure the youth would want to hear that from you. So we are going to wind up the session with that. So, how important is work-life balance?
It's very, very important, Trevin. Just to tell you, as a cricketer, everyone felt that I was more suited to play Test match cricket.
Mm-hmm.
That means you have 4 innings.
Mm-hmm.
But in my personal life, I think I've been like a one-day cricketer. I'm
Right.
still on my first innings.
Right.
All right. Whereas my friends have had the second innings, third innings, and some of them have gone into the fourth innings also. Can be for various reasons, but can be for some other reasons as well. So that's more of a individual thing. But I feel work-life balance is very important. At the end of the day, it'll be your loved ones who will be there. You'll have your friends, everyone, but when you really want, when it really matters, it's maybe one or two of your closest friends or your family. When you lose someone, a family a member. Now for me, there's not a single day that I don't think of my father, but my father had so many friends, but they will not uh, miss my father like I miss him. So that is very important. And for me, I think I'm on the 33rd year in terms of my marriage. Throughout, I've been a cricketer. Then I was involved with the ICC. Now I'm doing freelance refereeing. Just to give you a bit of a background, when I was working for the ICC, my last 2 years, I was out of home, to be precise, for 206 days and 207 days. So, how I kept that balance, work family balance, was if I was in Sri Lanka, I not looked at making a lot of money doing by doing so many businesses. I
Mm-hmm.
was focused on what I was doing as a referee. But in terms of a business, Januda will know better. Januda, who got me involved in this business, because Januda's father is my brother-in-law, but we do have an understanding. That was one of the first businesses that I set up when I finished playing cricket. But I told him that I will not side the place. He will have to run. He will have to look after. But if he needs my help on and off, I will be there to support him. And I now have something with my son-in-law again, that again they run. That is because I don't go to office and spend time, because of my work. When I go out, I miss quality family time. So what I do when I'm generally in Sri Lanka is by about 1:32 I come home, and that becomes my family time. Even when I was playing, we always had a break. So when the kids used to come back from school, I was at home. We had a meal together as a family, and made sure that we used whatever time that I had to spend some good quality time. And when I was working for the ICC and some other tours as well, if we were allowed to take our families, I made it a point, never looked at saving or building 3 4 houses and all that. It's all materialistic. We come with nothing, go with nothing. And that's my point of view. People have different beliefs and so on. That's something that we need to respect. But finding time for your family is very important. When I was working for the ICC, whenever I had a tour, when the kids were on school vacation, I made it a point either to go before the series a couple of weeks, or after the series and spend some time with the family. We used to go on a family holiday. So these are things that has helped me over the years to have that work life balance. So that's how you should, each individual will have to prioritize their areas of work, then their obligations towards community, uh, if you're living in a country like Sri Lanka, and also have the family also in that equation.
Very correct. Very correct. All right, with that, we need to wind up the session for today. And as you guys know, Luminary is powered by AIESEC in SLIIT. So before we wind up, I would like to ask Roshan, what do you think about this session that we just had today? You are in Pakistan, as I said, I am in Vancouver, and we had a very fruitful discussion. And I personally learned a lot from you regarding leadership, personality, and that was a huge learning for me personally. And I'm really fortunate to have this chat with you, a person that I used to look at when I was small. Cricket was something that was close to my heart. As you know, my uncle Lyndon Hannibal would be also watching this when this is out as well. And yeah, and the other, I am very tempted to ask this question. I'm sorry. I would ask maybe a brief answer from you. See, I know you, right? Like, because when I was small, we have watched you playing cricket. But let's say 10 years from now, when you hang around with people, and there would be people coming and telling you, do you know what? People might give advice to a person like you about cricket because they did not know that you were such a phenomenal cricketer. What would be like, are you going to be the person who's going to say, you know what, I was in the 96 World Cup cricket team and I was playing under Arjun Rantunga. I don't know whether you know the history. I was a top order batsman, then I came to the middle order. 10 years from now, people are not going to know who Roshan Mahanama is, and what's going to be your response for that?
Trevin, I've been out of the game as a player for 20 odd years. It's about 21 years. And I've been fortunate that I got an opportunity to work for the ICC. That's the greatest thing that happened. And subsequently to be in touch with the game with some of these franchise cricket tournaments. And even now that happens, I respect someone's point of view. Sometimes I can't help laughing, and I will go and tell a close I will go and tell a close friend of mine, or my family, oh, this guy was telling me as if I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Then I had to respect his point of view. Maybe he's also so passionate. Sometimes he knows that I have played the game. Obviously, in Sri Lanka, they'll know some
Thing
background,
about it.
but not the extent that I was involved with. Cricket has been my life.
Yes.
And when these guys say, then I think to myself, yes, that's with good intention. They are passionate about it. Listen, respect, and also slowly tell them that I also have been involved. I understand some of the things, but yes, I picked up somewhere we can help people and so on. So that happens on and
That
off.
happened.
But I think you need to be patient and give a hearing to what the others have to say.
Yeah, and finally, Roshan, what's your take on what we just had today? The discussion we had, Luminary, AIESEC, in SLIIT, and this discussion where we were able to connect, and just for final remarks about this.
No, for me, if I was able to get a message across to the youngsters, I think we've done justice to the session, Trevin. I think it'll be the youngsters who will have to give us a feedback. But for me, I'm thankful to Janudha and his team, and also Trevin, for you getting things out of me, so that we can, or at least I can share as much as I can, whatever I've experienced over the years as a cricketer, as an administrator, and whatever field that I've been involved with. But I want to leave behind something to the youngsters. If you want to be successful in life, you have to make sacrifices and not to look at shortcuts. Must work on improving your knowledge, should always try to develop your skills, should persevere, never give up when things are not going your way. Work hard and focus on developing these qualities than going behind people for shortcuts or to get benefits. Because we see the modern generation, they want a car, a house, you name it. And I see some of these youngsters, unfortunately we see at times today's generation wanting things on a platter. So don't give up, work hard, and whilst wishing all of you, including you, Kevin, continued success, I just want to leave behind a profound statement made by one of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen, the former
Yes.
president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela. Because some of the things that I have read and seen and followed of President Mandela, it just sticks in my mind, and I just thought I will finish off
Yes.
with that statement, getting that, or trying to get that message across to the youngsters. Don't judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. May all of you be blessed.
Nice to hear that. Thank you very much, Roshan. And there you go. That's it for us. That's it for Luminary for us today. And I'll see you guys next week with a new guest. And until that time, it's time to say goodbye. Take care. Cheers. Bye bye.
That's this week's episode of The Luminary. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.
SLIIT Global Education is established for students who are interested in venturing past the higher education opportunities in Sri Lanka to explore avenues in countries such as Australia, Canada, UK, USA, Germany, and France. They have a network of 30 plus universities that they collaborate with to provide students with the best learning and holistic university experience. You can also avail exclusive scholarship schemes, especially if you are a student or alumnus of SLIIT. SLIIT Global Education also provides exceptional academic counseling services for undergraduate and postgraduate students tailored to their requirements. They also offer expert visa guidance counseling services and pre-departure training to all their transfer students. If you're considering pursuing your higher education abroad, feel free to give their friendly team a buzz.
Welcome to SparkX, a platform that will groom you to have a leading edge over other IT students. We built this to give you the real skills to make you a superhero, actually a super talent. Being up on the game is really important, and that's why we researched what skills are really required by the IT industry. You will be surprised. It's not pure technical skills, but a combination of specific technical skills and soft skills that we offer, which no program out there in Sri Lanka teaches you. If you master these skills, you will be assured a job in a leading IT company or the support to start your entrepreneurship journey. And that is why I teamed up with the best people to help you. Through a pre-selection process, candidates will be given the opportunity of a personalized mentorship with SparkX. The program is 6 months long and can be followed part-time while you study. Dedicated mentors with domain experts will connect you through live online learning and face-to-face boot camps.